The question I've been asking myself lately is whether or not I'm using the apps that are on my device or if those apps are using me. Sounds kind of philosophical, but I realize that my screen time has been increasing, and not because I want it to. It's because a lot of these apps just tend to draw me in. Whether you have lots of notifications on your device and feel the need to answer those notifications and respond to them, or you have apps that you continuously scroll. There's new terminology called doom scrolling, just scrolling until you run out of energy and a will to live and just decide to finally call it a night. I know that I have gone down those rabbit holes many times on social media apps and have wasted a lot of time. I justify it because, these social media apps tend to really get dialed in and figure out what your interests are. And while there are times when my social media feeds have been a complete disaster and have me anxious and all worked up because of whatever latest conspiracy theory or whatever thing's going on, a lot of times I can kind of reel that back in and have those feeds be inspirational and providing, they're full of business insights and just good information that's helping me think through my life better. I mean, the whole idea and thought that I had for this video came from me scrolling a couple of nights ago, and I started thinking to myself, these apps that are designed to grab our attention and keep us engaged are using us for our information so that they can sell ads. And I understand that. Like, I'm not really mad about that. I know that in order for me to use these apps that don't charge me to use them, they need to make money somehow. And they're going to use my behaviors to learn about me so that they can then allow people a platform to sell ads that are going to be displayed for me. And I'm not mad about the fact that the ads that I see these days are so much better than they were 10 years ago or whatever. The ads that we used to see a while back were not targeted to us. They were so out in right field that it wasn't even funny. Like, there's no way that we were going to be tempted by that ad or even interested in what that company had to sell because it had nothing to do with our own interests. But these days, our personal interests are so ingrained in these different technologies that we're using, these different apps, because of our behaviors, that marketers have the ability to really target us specifically. And I'm not really mad about that. I mean, I actually am in the field of marketing for my work. And I love the fact that I can create content that is much more targeted towards a specific person. We're not wasting our money, and I'm not wasting their time by showing them something completely ridiculous. And so I feel like there's a good balance there. But at the end of the day, am I getting more value out of an app, or is that app getting more value out of me? That is something that I need to measure, and I need to decide what apps should be on my devices based on what value I'm getting out of them, because those companies aren't giving me anything in return except for access to this specific tool. So I started looking through my phone. First of all, how many apps do I have on my device in the first place? I still have 308 apps on my phone. I had more than that. I had over 400 apps on my phone. You might be thinking to yourself, what apps could you possibly need on your phone that you have 308 apps? And, I go through my lists. Like, let's look at my social media list, which is extremely small right now. I went ahead and removed Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and a handful of other apps from my phone, and really just put Twitter or X back on my phone, and I have Discord and I have Messenger. I have Messenger because I'll sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace and I need to be able to communicate with those people quickly, and I'll do my listings and stuff from the computer. I can check in on all of those social media networks through my computer, but I have to be at my computer. And so I don't need them on my phone. I don't need them using me and wasting my time, or allowing me an opportunity to waste my time. Now, under productivity, this is probably where I need to do some additional cleaning. You can see I've got tons of apps in here, and you might think to yourself, how do you use all of these apps? Well, I don't use all of these apps on a daily basis. There are some of them that I don't use very often, such as Air Control, which helps me figure out whether or not the airspace that I'm going to fly my drone in is safe. And if I need to request authorization so that I could fly in that area, I can use that app for that. And there's a lot of productivity apps and cloud storage apps and stuff like that that I have on here that I use sometimes. And so they're on here because I can't really get rid of them. I would just end up needing to download them later. But they're not distractions. These apps in the social category, those were distractions. the apps that were in the productivity section, I don't end up wasting time in these apps. These apps provide utility, and the majority of them are not apps that take from me. They're apps that give to me, and they give me time or they give me connectedness to whatever tool it is that I need. Then let's look at creativity. This is another section that was out of control and is still relatively out of control. There are a lot of apps in here that I don't use very often, such as Filmic Pro. I love that app for shooting video, but I just don't use it. And it's probably an app that I need to delete because I've been holding on to it for too long. It's not an app that's using me, but it is an app that I'm just not utilizing, and it's taking up space on my device. And Concepts is another app I wanted to really get into, being able to create schematics and stuff like that. And I just haven't had the time to really learn how to draw things up in Concepts. And there are a lot of other apps that are on here that might control something specific, like Arc 2 controls my camera slider, DJI Mimo and GoPro Quick control different cameras of mine, and Leica, and some of those apps are required. Most of these apps in this section are apps that I am using. They are not using me. But truthfully, some of them I'm not even really using. And so I need to go back through from time to time and look at all the apps that are on my device and decide, do I still really need that, and delete the app. So if we scroll down, yes, there's finance, do my online banking, and all of that good stuff there. Those are apps that I'm using, and they're not necessarily using me. They might be pulling some data from me, but I'm getting utility out of them. And same with the apps that are in utility and information and reading. Those are apps that I'm using, and I don't believe that they're really using me. So we won't go through all of these sections, but when we get down into games, for example, that is another area of our device that we have to look at. Am I using this, or is it using me? And you might think, okay, well, how is a game using me? Like, they provided a game, I paid for it, it was a couple bucks or whatever. How is the game using me versus me using the game? And my response to that would be simply, the game is using you because it was created to be engaging and fun and a distraction. And so that game might be using you because it's pulling you away from things that you need to be focusing on. And I know for me, games can be that. I can jump into a game and really get into the game and the storyline and wanting to move through the game, whatever that method may be. Then I find myself having wasted a lot of time on a game that's not really moving me forward towards any goals that I have that I'm wanting to achieve. And so I have minimal games on here, and really Pokemon Go is one that needs to go as well, because that's one of the ones that I recently fell back into. When Pokemon Go came out, I was playing it a lot with my kids and we were having fun, and then I got rid of it because I can't catch them all and I really don't want to catch them all. And so I don't know what it was, a few months ago, I decided to install it again and was playing Pokemon Go with my kids again, because we had been collecting Pokemon cards and had been really in the Pokemon space quite a bit for most of this year. And so Pokemon Go was fun again. And it was even more fun to me because, as somebody who's been Pokemon card collecting, I wanted to be more in the Pokemon space. But I realized, like, I was getting on that app multiple times a day to unlock achievements, to keep my streak going and all of that stuff. And I realized Pokemon Go was using me more than I was using it. The enjoyment that I was getting out of it was pretty much lost because I was going and checking in on the different gyms that I had a Pokemon at and making sure that those Pokemon were fed and leveled up so that we kept control of that gym. I was going around to Pokemon stops and making sure that I could get Pokeballs and stuff like that. And I know this sounds silly. The more I talk about it, the sillier it sounds. And I would check in on different things and accomplish the different things for the day so that I can unlock the achievements and get more points and get more rewards within the app. And I realized the app was using me. I was not using the app. And this really comes down to you as a person. Some people are really good at moderating and can step away from something and not have a problem and enjoy it when they have time and just leave it alone. And it's not something that they constantly feel tugging or a pulling towards. And then there's people like me who, when they get into something, they really get into something and they want to achieve and they want to unlock everything and explore it and experience it for all that it is. And sometimes that becomes a problem because the apps within our technology are now dragging us away from the things that we find important and need to be spending time and attention with, whether it be our family, whether it be our job, job or community, whoever it is, friends, and all of that good stuff, those are people who are real, who we need to be investing and spending time with more so than finding some sort of release through scrolling an app or playing a game or something like that. Those things are great. And if you can moderate really well, more power to you. But if you find yourself watching this video all the way through and relating with me in any way, I want you to go through your device and look at all the apps that you have on it and decide to yourself, is this app using me or am I using it? And don't just look at it from a data standpoint, like, are they taking my data and selling it to China? Who knows? But is that app using you because it's drawing you in? It's making you think about it more often than you should. And if that's the case, maybe you should get rid of it and remove it from your device. Not to say that you can't access it in a more difficult way, like maybe having the app on an iPad and utilizing your iPad and just not taking your iPad with you everywhere. Not allowing your iPad to be in the bedroom at night so that you're not scrolling on it. You don't have those apps on your phone. Maybe they're on your iPad and you can use them in different scenarios, but we tend to have our phone with us all the time. So don't make excuses for yourself, though. That's definitely what I've done many times. You can't really hide them from yourself. You sometimes just have to remove the temptation. By doing that, it means deleting the app and spending some time away from it. I know you can do it because I'm doing it for myself. Let me know what app tends to draw you away from everything. What app is using you? Let me know what that is down in the comment section below, because I'm sure it's probably been the same thing for me. Let's talk about that down there. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you back in the next one.